the Doctor. I love that, and it's a similar thing to what I like to do in Million Eyes and the Million Eyes short stories. It's take real events and re-explain them as being to do with these mysterious time travelers who have been tinkering with our history.
Now, also my co-host James, my news director. Now, James, do you have a couple questions to ask Christopher?
Yes, I sure do. The first question, Christopher, do you think there is any validity that Princess Di may have been pregnant at the time of her death?
Funnily enough, I was just writing a little bit about that today because I've got an article coming out on my blog about Princess Diana and the conspiracy theories and the possible motives for her death, and that is the most common motive. That she was pregnant with Dodi Fayed's child, and the establishment had her bumped off because, this probably originates with Mohammed Al Fayed, and he's always calling the royal family overt racists, and that's essentially where this comes from. It's the idea that the royal family is so racist that they couldn't accept that the future king of the UK would have a half sibling who was an Egyptian Muslim, because Dodi was Egyptian and he was Muslim, and according to this conspiracy theory, Diana was pregnant with his kid. So, but there isn't any evidence that she was pregnant. I think that's one of those questions that I've never really thought has held much water. I think there's a few questions about why her body was embalmed so quickly or something like that. But yeah, I can't find any evidence that she actually was pregnant.
Okay, interesting. Now, I have a theory that every time we mess around with time, or government, or somebody, we time travel. My theory is it creates a Mandela effect, and I believe that's the reason for. That's just one of my little theories. What is your theory on Mandela effect as far as time travel? Do you think it might have any connections, or what's your opinion on that?
So the Mandela effect, that's like people having false memories and things, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, I mean, whether it's all to do with time travel, I don't know, but I've written some articles about premonitions and things, and people having premonitions of the Twin Towers collapsing, having dreams about it a few days before it happened. There was also there was a disaster that happened over here in Wales, in a village called Aberfan. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it was actually. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix series The Crown, but there was an episode all about the Aberfan disaster in season 3, and it was basically a big. It was like a massive avalanche of coal waste that fell down a mountainside and smashed into a primary school and killed a bunch of children. So it was really tragic. But there was a story about one of the students who was killed, having told her mother that she'd had a dream about a giant black blanket coming down and covering her school, and she said that she was really in fear for her life, and she told her mother this the day before the disaster, and then she was killed. So, which was very kind of mysterious, and I think I seem to remember writing about Dennis Quaid and his wife, there was something about when they had their two children. I think they had twins. I might be wrong about that, but apparently they were a little bit ill when they were born. They were still in the hospital, and Dennis Quaid and his wife went home, and then I think she had some kind of very strong feeling that one of the babies was dying. And so they contacted the hospital, and I think the nurses rushed in to attend to these babies, and one of them was in jeopardy. And I think there may have been like a mistake that was made by one of the nurses or something. But I know that one of these babies was dying, and obviously Dennis Quaid and his wife could not have known anything about this. It was just a feeling she had while she was home, and because she had this feeling, this whatever you want to call it, this premonition, they were able to save the child. So there's all these very strange things, these strange feelings that people have, and whether that might be down to time travel, I don't know. That's something that I've explored a little bit in Million Eyes, in some of the short stories. I mean, as for false memories, that's that again is something I haven't read myself many actual cases of this, but it's something that I have incorporated into my writing as well. There's a character in one of the short stories in Million Eyes Extra Time. The story is called Rachel Can See, and this character is basically having alternate memories of events. She remembers that she thinks the Twin Towers are still standing, that they were never destroyed on September the 11th. She has different memories of her own life. She remembers that there was a very different famous playwright during the 16th century, and it wasn't Shakespeare at all. She remembers that somebody else discovered America. She remembers lots of different figures in history and different aspects of her life. And that eventually she's apprehended by the time travelers that are key to both the short stories and the novel, because they are investigating why she's having these memories. Because essentially the way the story goes is that she's remembering the timeline before they interfered with it. So it's a fascinating kind of area, and I suppose I don't know if you've seen the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Yesterday's Enterprise. The character in this story is basically based on Guinan in that episode, because the timeline is changed, and Guinan is the only one who remembers the way it was before. So that was my inspiration there.
Now I got to ask you a question, Christopher. Do you believe that time travel is going on at this time, or do you think time travel is possible?
Well, I would love to believe it's possible. I think one of the things that Stephen Hawking said was, if time travel is possible or is ever going to be possible, where are all the tourists from the future? Because if we are going to invent time travel one day, then people are going to come back and we would be aware of them. And the fact that, well, there's that. And then there's one school of thought would be, well, there aren't any time travelers around us, so perhaps time travel will never be invented. However, there's a lot of claims that time travelers are among us, and they have been among us, and they keep popping up in photographs and in old video clips, and lately they're turning up on YouTube a lot as well.
Oh yeah, a lot.
And so there are arguments that there are tourists from the future. They're all here, and they're predicting all this stuff. But I mean, some of the claims are a little bit odd, but there aren't many that I believe.
I can tell you this. I think it's odd somebody coming back, to our time from the future, right? And shows a photograph. I would think if they were so many, hundreds of years in the future, they would come back with a hologram or something. They wouldn't be sitting there holding a photograph out of paper and saying, this is, that's a dead giveaway, where I always get a little chuckle. But, I like reading about that stuff. Our time is almost up. Now, where can you mentioned you do a blog. How can they find that? How can they find your books? And if they want to contact you for some reason, how can all this be accomplished?
Okay. Well, my blog, which is where I talk about time travel, I talk about conspiracy theories, urban legends. That is crberry.wordpress.com. crberryauthor.wordpress.com. crberryauthor.wordpress.com. So that's how you can find me and I blog quite regularly. I also talk about all of my writing and my books on there, and there are links to buy my books through there. If you Google my name, C.R. Berry, and Million Eyes, you'll find lots of links for both the novel, which is now out in paperback and as an ebook, and Million Eyes Extra Time, which is the short story collection, and that can be downloaded for free. They're both published by Elswen Press, which is a speculative fiction publisher in the UK, here in the UK. And you can also find me on Twitter. So and on Facebook. My Twitter and Facebook handle are both crberry1. So if you want to like me and follow me on there, then I'm always talking about my books and my blogs on there. So yeah.
Well, hey, I really enjoyed getting you on the show. Like I said, it was kind of interesting getting you on the show, but we finally, I figured out we got you on, so I'm happy. What I hope for you is you don't get the virus bad in your country, and you don't have a panic for toilet paper like we have. I can tell you, you can live without a lot of things, but toilet paper we become very dependent on.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, when I went to the supermarket the other day, while the shelf with all the toilet paper was more empty than I'd ever seen it, there was still some left, so it wasn't too bad. It's not like we've totally run out, but we do need people to stop panicking, because it is getting a little bit ridiculous.
Okay, my friend, well, you have a great week. It's coming by, and hopefully your weather will improve and all that. And again, I enjoyed having you on, Christopher, so I want to thank you.
Take care. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and bye-bye.
Bye.
So, well, at least, James, we got him on, so that really, made it interesting tonight. But
it did.
Yeah.
It did. We got him on. We adapted and overcame.
Yeah, I was kind of panicked. That's why I had you keep going on with the news, because I was emailing back and forth, trying to figure out how to get him on. And
I figured you was. And listen, I've always got a treasure trove of information I could share. And you must be psychic, because you asked the same question about Doctor Who I was ready to ask.
Oh, yeah. Doctor Who. I mean, I've watched every episode ever made of Doctor Who. Even not Christopher Lee. Who is the other guy in Hammer movies? The one that Christopher always played the vampire. The one that
Christopher Lee was a vampire. The other one, he's one of my favorite actors. I can't think of his name now, but
we're both thinking of the same guy. He played the Doctor in the original movie of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I remember seeing the series not too long ago. I